Howdy there once again, everybody. My name is Ben Ferraiuolo, and it is my aim to soon become a volcanic seismologist and go to school for it by the end of 2019, hopefully. Today is September 19th, 2018. Please like, share, subscribe, and do not forget to visit my website, https://monitorseis.weebly.com, monitorseis.weebly.com. There is no www in the address, by the way. It is a great website that is still in development, but it already has a huge amount of information and data, though I know I could do better. But, you still should go check it out. You'd be surprised what you find. Now, today I real quick want to talk about this swarm right here that occurred at Mount Rainier this morning. It has been a while since we have seen a swarm like this, and the characteristics remind me of the rapid succession earthquake swarms that occur at the northern section of West Thumb Lake in Yellowstone Caldera. I am, of course, not immediately claiming magma intrusion, especially since it has calmed down ever since the initial sequence this morning. But still, the earthquakes came out of nowhere and happened at a very rapid pace. Now, there are currently 14 reported earthquakes for this single swarm. Oh, wait a second. Oh, never mind, it says 12. It did say 14. Okay, I don't know why it said 14. It said 14, but now it says 12. Never mind. So there are 12 earthquakes reported for the single swarm. Now watch as I click the first reported earthquake and click the rest in order. It almost seems like something was shifting directly inside the volcano. Check this out. There's one, that one, two. And go up, and let me finish the rest. Isn't that interesting? It almost seemed like whatever it was started right here. Wasn't that weird? Well, I don't think that means much, since the first earthquake, as you will see, let me scroll all the way down again, the first earthquake was much shallower than most other earthquakes that were reported for this swarm, but it sure is interesting how it flowed. Now, most of the earthquakes were between 0.8 magnitude and 1.4, with the majority of them occurring just inside the volcano from the summit. The largest was two 1.4 earthquakes, one registering at 0.2 kilometers in depth, and the other registering at 0.1 kilometers in depth. Those two right there, right next to each other. Very interesting. Notice the deepest earthquake within this sequence was only a magnitude 0.8. Magnitude 0.8 at 1.3 kilometers in depth. So this for sure was a shallow earthquake swarm. Very shallow. It occurred above sea level, literally inside the cone itself. So the first two earthquakes I do not have data for yet, but let's look at this one, 1205 UTC. Let's go to swarm. Here it is right here. Here is the first earthquake that was spotted. And notice the high frequency characteristics, meaning this is a simple volcano-tectonic earthquake, a VT earthquake, which can be caused by normal tectonic forces or rock breaking sequences. The next one was a 0.7 at 1207. 1207, that is... looks like there's two of them. That is right here. Here's the other one, that's a 0.7. Now let's check the next one. The next one was a 1.0 at 1208 and a 1.4 at 1209. So 1208 and 1209. Let's go check that out. There's the one at 1208. Again, having high frequency characteristics indicative of normal VT volcano-tectonic earthquakes. There's the other one right here, the 1.4. There's that one. I think this one was the one that occurred at 0.1 kilometers in depth. And I'm using station RCS. And let's go back. Let's look at the other one. The next one was a 0.8 at 1209.34, which would be this one right here. Oh, that's why it's not doing it. Persistence rescale off. There's that one right there. High frequency characteristics. They all had high frequency characteristics. All of them. Except one event that I will show you in just a minute. And I believe this one was the other 1.4, if I can zoom in on it. Again, you can see high frequency characteristics, but it lasted a little longer than I would expect. So let's go back. The last one that was reported was a 1.0 at 1306 at 0.5 kilometers in depth. So 1306 would be right here. Here is the last earthquake that they are reporting for this swarm. High frequency characteristics indicative of VT earthquakes once again. So most of these in the swarm were typical high-frequency VT earthquakes, commonly seen at volcanoes. Since it occurred within the stratovolcano cone itself, it seems that this was some type of rock-breaking sequence, although it is currently unknown what caused this event. This could possibly indicate a partial collapse of a vent or a possible new steam vent opening. I believe it was in the late 1960s that a steam vent opened on the top of Mount Rainier. I don't know how long it lasted, but eventually, of course, it calmed down. But now, after this swarm, I noticed something very, very peculiar that I think is something called a DLP, a deep, long period event. Now, it seems there are a couple different types of DLPs. That's what it seems. I don't know for sure, because I really haven't done much research on DLPs. I should, but they're very interesting, and they almost always are related to some type of magma movement. But right now, I'm going to be focusing on the Cascade Range variety. Here is the Journal of Volcanology and Geothermal Research. This article was done in July 2nd, 2010 and uploaded on December 22nd, 2010. Deep, long period earthquakes beneath Washington and Oregon volcanoes. Two names I recognize, Wes Thalen and Seth Morin. I have talked to both those guys before about multiple things. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. The abstract is that deep, long-period earthquakes, DLPs, are an enigmatic type of seismicity occurring near or beneath volcanoes. They are commonly associated with the presence of magma, and found in some cases to correlate with eruptive activity. To more thoroughly understand and characterize DLP occurrences near volcanoes in Washington and Oregon, we systematically searched the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, Triggered Earthquake Catalog, for DLPs occurring between 1980, when PNSN began collecting digital data, and October 2009. Through our analysis, we identified 60 DLPs beneath 6 Cascade volcanic centers. No DLPs were associated with volcanic activity, including the 1980, 1986, and 2004-2008 eruptions at Mount St. Helens. Isn't that interesting, guys? Even the Mount St. Helens eruptions didn't show any DLPs. Isn't that weird? More than half of the DLPs occurred under Mount Baker, where the background flux of magmatic gases is the greatest among Washington and Oregon volcanoes. The 6 volcanoes with DLPs, counts in parentheses, are Mount Baker, 31, Glacier Peak, 9, Mount Rainier, 9, Mount St. Helens, 9, Three Sisters, 1, and Crater Lake, 1. Yes, Crater Lake is still a volcano. It still could erupt, guys. No DLPs were identified beneath Mount Adams, Mount Hood, Mount Jefferson, or the Newberry caldera. Although, except at Mount Hood, that may be due in part to poor network coverage. That's for sure. They need new monitors at Mount Adams, Mount Jefferson, and Newberry. They really do. Really bad. In cases where the DLPs do not occur directly beneath the volcanic edifice, the locations coincide with large structural faults that extend into the deep crust. Our observations suggest the occurrence of DLPs in these areas, the areas beyond from the cone of the volcano, could represent fluid and or magma transport along pre-existing tectonic structures in the middle of the crust. Yeah, that's something that people don't really think of. Did you know that magma can use fault lines as kind of an escape? Yeah, I find that very, very intriguing. So just because something could be, quote-unquote, tectonic activity doesn't mean that magma's not causing it. Now that was pretty interesting. Now I thought I discovered a DLP on September 11th of this year at Mount Rainier. So I sent the data analysis to Wes Thalen, who actually had a hand in creating this publication here. He said even though it appeared on multiple seismographs, it still could have been a large avalanche or landslide. So he kindly sent back some .sac data for me to analyze of an actual confirmed DLP at Rainier some odd years ago. I agree the possible DLP on September 11th was not a DLP probably, but the one I found today, it looks very identical to a real DLP. So let's go to Swarm real quick. Let's go to, what was I going to do? Okay, so we're going to go to RER from today. This is the possible DLP that I discovered. I'm not saying it is for sure a DLP. It just really appears to be. And this right here, I don't know the exact year. He never told me the year, but it was February 12th to February 13th of some odd year. But this is the confirmed DLP that he had me look at. He sent me all the data for this. Let me turn off the filter real quick. Okay, so there it is right there. And here's this one that I possibly discovered here. Now look at the similarities. Do they not look the same? Now, comparing both possible DLP and the confirmed DLP, you can see they are very similar in their characteristics. Now, here is the spectrogram for the confirmed DLP at Mount Rainier on our CM that he sent me. And here's the spectrogram for the possible DLP that I discovered at Mount Rainier. Notice the waveform, the seismogram here. Notice the waveform looks pretty identical, pretty similar, except for the initial spike. Notice also, the spectrogram analysis looks very, very identical as well. And let me check the spectra. It's looking pretty similar. Very close, very close. The possible DLP I discovered looks almost identical. Now, real quick, let's set a 2 Hz low-pass filter for both, just to see where it gets us real quick. So, that is not what I wanted. Whoops. Go back. That is not what I wanted. Oh well, whatever. Let's go here. Let's go to low-pass filter, maximum frequency, 2 Hz, enabled. Press OK. This makes sure that all the frequencies above 2 Hz are filtered out. And let's go to here. And let's shift that to 2 Hz, low-pass filter, enabled. Right there. Now let's compare. They look pretty similar, guys. I gotta say, they look pretty similar. Now again, this filters out all frequencies above 2 Hz. Notice, again, they look very similar. I wonder if this really is a new discovered DLP. I also wonder how far it traveled to the nearby seismic stations. So why don't we pull up this data on the seismic program waves. Station OBSR, RCS, which is right here, RER, which is right here, and FMW, which is not labeled, but it's right here. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. Sadly, RCM is down for the count, sadly. So let's go to waves real quick. I already have it all set up for you guys. Now, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this is the possible DLP that I discovered for today. Possible. I'm not saying it is, but to me, it definitely does not look like surface noise. Here are the 4 closest stations to the possible DLP event. FMW EHZ, which is short period vertical, OBSR broadband vertical, RCS short period vertical, and RER short period vertical. Now here it is, right here. You can blatantly tell. You can tell it appeared on seismic station RER first. Let me mark the P wave. I'm going to try at least. I'm going to say it started right about there. So let's mark that as the P wave. The amplitude of this event was not very strong. You can see RER saw 979, RCS saw 145, OBSR 170, and FMW you barely should. This is not the DLP, by the way. This is something else, possibly surface noise, but this is what I'm talking about. Barely showed, barely at all. So even if it is a DLP, the seismic waves wouldn't travel that far. Or maybe it's not a DLP, but it's another long period event, but shallower than what people would think a normal DLP would be. Know what I'm trying to say? Whatever this is, it carries dominant low frequencies around 1 to 2 Hz and does not appear to be surface activity. Out of the 4 stations I used, you could tell it showed best on OBSR right here and RER right here. RCS ranks 3rd in stations that felt this event, and FMW shows it as well, which is this one, top one right up here, but just barely. Just barely. And you can tell, though, it did show on FMW because of this right here. See that? These multiple spikes right there? Small spikes. So from about right here to right here. It is inconsistent with other microseisms and background noise that it records throughout the day. So it did feel it, but just barely. So maybe this is not a DLP. Or maybe it is. Or maybe it's an MDLP, medium deep long period event. Maybe it's more shallower than most DLPs that are recorded. Who knows? However, I doubt this is surface noise, especially when it occurred just after the swarm ended, and has been seen a few times the past few days. And I don't think that many avalanches and rockfalls are happening every single day, multiple times. Very odd. Maybe Mount Rainier is finally waking up? I hope not. Unless it only has a harmless steam eruption, then that would be kind of cool since I can pretty much see this monster from my house. Seriously. I live in Bothell, Washington, which is just about 20 miles northeast of Seattle, pretty far from Mount Rainier. The closest volcano to me is Glacier Peak. But it still sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, I could just go up my street. So DLP or not, Rainier could be awakening. Possibly. We will monitor this area to see how it progresses. Now let's zoom out just real quick, and I just want to show you the earthquake swarm that occurred today, this morning. Here it is, right here. You can see, here are the plots, right here. There are multiple events, it seems like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at which one showed on all 4 seismic stations. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I believe that's it right here. All right. And no, this is not harmonic tremor right here. This is the only broadband station that I'm using for this, and broadband stations usually have an up and down oscillating pattern for background microseisms. Again, really quick, I want to look at the possible DLP event that I discovered. Maybe discovered. It might not be. I'm not saying it is, but it is very interesting. Let's do a high-pass filter real quick of 1 hertz. There we go. That gets... Now, a high-pass filter, let's say I set a high-pass filter to 1 hertz. That will show all the frequencies above 1 hertz. So let's go, just as an example real quick, let's do 5 hertz. Notice how you can't really see it much anymore. High pass, this means that nothing will show below 5 hertz. So this will show all frequencies 5 hertz and above. So you can see right there, the bottom is gone. Now let's go back. Let's do low pass. Let's see, maximum frequency. Let's try 4 for the maximum frequency real quick. There it is. Dominant low frequency characteristics, guys. So whatever this was, I do not believe it was an avalanche or a rock slide. I'm pretty sure rock slides and avalanches sometimes can have a low frequency characteristic, but I do believe that this is possibly some type of long period low frequency event beneath Mount Rainier. Possibly. Because usually those avalanches and rockfalls have a higher frequency than this. So let's click that off. So now it's back to normal right here. Alright, so whatever this was is very interesting. We should definitely keep an eye out for more things like this. Let's see if any other ones showed. Let's see. Nope, I'm not seeing any other ones. Except, what's this? No, that's high frequency. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. I'm pretty sure the swarm has calmed down already. Here it is right here. Let's go into the spectrogram. You can tell they all had very high frequency characteristics, guys. So it's definitely some type of VT earthquake swarm, possibly indicating some type of rock breaking event. Maybe a new steam vent is opening, who knows. So let's just keep an eye on this area, and let me zoom out and out and out and out. Remember, the farther you zoom out with a spectrogram or seismogram or anything, the farther you zoom out, the less data it will show. Seriously, look at this. See how they look here? I want to show you something, because not a lot of people understand this. Alright, so let's zoom in real quick. Alright, notice how big that looks? Now let's zoom out. Yeah, you really can't see it, can you? So you always got to pay attention to the time period at the bottom and the frequency range on the left. Color is always power. Alright, so that is it for right now. Please do not forget to check out my website, monitorsize.weebly.com. This page that I am on is the Seismic Events blog, which is actually the least developed page on my website. Only 2 blog posts, and both of them are still really incomplete. But I am currently working on finishing these 2. And here's the More drop-down menu, but there are many other pages that contain a lot of information, guys. Here's the downloads to JAMA Size, Swarm, and Waves seismic analysis software. In this video, you saw me use Swarm and Waves. How To shows you how to read seismograms, just a basic overview. Shows you how to use JAMA Size, use Swarm, use Waves, how to download data, and how to understand UTC. So just in the How To section, you can do everything that I'm doing in these videos. You can download seismic data from anywhere in the world. Well, kind of anywhere in the world. The network isn't completely infallible, you know what I mean? But still, you could do a lot of stuff with this. This shows network coverage helps, showing all the networks within the IRIS DMC database and a few other networks. earthquake type examples, showing a few examples of the different types of earthquakes. Ooh, that reminds me. For the earthquake type examples, I need to add a DLP on there. I need to find a confirmed DLP and have that on there as an example. I almost forgot to do that. Thank you, YouTube, for reminding me. Earthquake statistics, which actually are for Yellowstone, Long Valley, Newberry, Mount Rainier, and the Cascadia Subduction Zone. This actually has a lot of good information. These are just earthquakes reported, not earthquakes that actually occurred. So at Newberry and Mount Rainier, the earthquake counts might be less, and especially Yellowstone, the earthquake counts will be less than what actually occurred, especially the farther back you go. But for the Cascadia Subduction Zone, I think they do a really good job on reporting the earthquakes. Just for the Cascadia Subduction Zone, though. And then the links has all the resources and links that I use. About me is about me and a picture of my family. And contact is to contact me and what you should do if you want to retrieve data. Or ask me for certain data, or I can even create your own helicorders for you. If you want me to analyze something, I can send you a custom spectrogram or custom seismogram. Whatever you need, just let me know. Seismic Image Archive right here. Isn't that great? But there's no archive on the internet for people just to go to and real quick look at the online seismograms. So I just made a little quick one. And let's go to Long Valley real quick just to show you what it's like. Now the page is really long, guys, because it has the whole month of September in here. See all these seismograms. I try to do as many as I can. So just look at each date. You know, there's usually about 6 or 7 of them per date. I haven't updated the Seismic Image Archive in 2 days, though, because I've been really busy trying to finish renovating our kitchen, but I am attempting to make a blog post about the Rainier earthquake swarm, finish both seismic events in the Seismic Events blog, update the Seismic Image Archive, and many, many other things. Here's the current image and webcam for Mount Rainier. This is at Camp Muir, I don't know how to say that. And this is the current webcam at the time that I am recording this. Let's go back, let's go up, and just get a view of the mountain. Oh, that's not actually a view of the mountain. Oh, there we go. Here's a view of the dome itself. Looks like it just blew up into nothing. Those are just clouds, guys. Can't see Rainier right now. So we learned that a fast-paced earthquake swarm struck Rainier this morning, and the magnitudes weren't that tiny either. Many strange events have been appearing lately at Rainier with characteristics almost identical to confirmed DLP deep long period events. Regardless of what it is, this volcano needs to be watched over the next few weeks. Let's click on Camp Sherman real quick, just to get a little variety. And it looks like, wouldn't even let me zoom in, oh well. Let's all hope that all is well and all is calm. Yellowstone has been somewhat calm since September started, with only a few microquakes occurring about every day. Long Valley also had a quick spike in seismicity but has since calmed down, at least for now. Washington State is also seeing an increase in earthquakes but nothing major. And also, no increase in sulfur dioxide was seen during this morning's Mount Rainier earthquake swarm. So it could be possible the swarm is connected to Rainier's hydrothermal system. I thank you all for your time, and please remember to be humble. Life is better when you live and let live. Please keep checking back to my website every now and then, and there will be some new updates, new data images, new helicorders, spectrogram analysis, seismogram analysis, anything, and much, much more. Also, here is an animation that I created last night showing the progression of the North Alaska earthquake swarm since the initial 6.3 struck on August 12, 2018. On August 12, 2018, a 6.3 and a 6.1 earthquake struck North Alaska that triggered thousands of earthquakes ranging from 1.5 to 5.0. In my opinion, this was a magmatic injection event, but I am still attempting to prove that. Most of the earthquakes contained high-frequency characteristics, but some earthquakes were quite odd, with a lot of low-frequency earthquakes happening too. And some of the earthquakes were even odd enough for the USGS to label one of the events as quote-unquote other event. I will get into that once my blog post is finished in the Seismic Events blog. Once again, I want to thank you all for your support, and please let me know if I ever make any mistakes or I am incorrect. Oh, and by the way, this animation was from August 12th. This is all magnitude earthquakes, August 12th to September 13th. And you can see how it progressed per 12 hours. See how it spreads out from the originating 6.3? And it kind of looks like an intrusion event, and then calms and spreads out, possibly indicating that the ground above it's becoming stressed and possibly bulging. And I believe down here, this is being caused by this up here. I believe this could be a stress fracture, possibly. I do not believe the injection is happening here. I believe it all started with the 6.3. You'll see, once the 6.3 starts, it goes this way. You see that? It almost like a fissure. You see that? It almost looks like a fissure was being created. And this, I believe, is a stress fracture. And so, let me know, guys, if I ever make any mistakes or I'm incorrect. I actually enjoy constructive criticism because trial and error and personal experience is how I learn. Let me know what you think about Mount Rainier and the Alaska Swarm below. I will keep an eye on both areas, especially Yellowstone and Long Valley as usual. I will be back soon, even sooner on my website. I hope you all have a great day and be safe out there. I will always stand for the truth no matter where it leads, because truth is hate or fear to those who hate or fear the truth. And I'm not just trying to be funny, that is the truth. Really, though. God bless, guys. Ben Ferraiuolo signing off.